It's not for everybody. Some people only hear the good things about it. And it is excellent if it's up your alley. The culture, the people, the traffic, the way things operate around here. It's a much slower life. Anything on an island is much slower than it is in a big city. For example, if your staff are late for work, it's probably because it's raining out, and it's acceptable here.
I don't have to check the airs and race. This is pretty much sort of no filters.
Yeah,
on
that's great.
this. All right. So, welcome to Phuket Insights. And today I'm joined by Barry Johnston. Well, thanks for coming on to Phuket
You're
Insights. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Give me your name and what it is you do here in Phuket.
My name is Barry. I've lived here 26 years, moved here in June of 2000. I'm retired now, and I basically just live out here and have a good time. Yeah.
Okay, great. And what did you do before you came here?
Well, basically, I would say I when I first moved to Thailand, it was to teach English with my friend. We got jobs in Canada working in a province called Trang. We went there for a couple of months and we got ran out of there pretty quick because the school didn't give us our money. Anyways, we ended up in Phuket and we got jobs at a school called ECC, which is English Computer College, I believe, across from the Tavern Hotel. It's not there anymore. And got jobs teaching English because we didn't think, we thought it'd be impossible to get jobs here. We thought, who wouldn't want to teach English and live here? But we got jobs and I ended up staying. Everybody went home. And I started to work in the hotels, teaching the staff customer service in English. And then I realized I wasn't going to make much money and live here, so I needed to make more money. So I went back to Canada and worked in oil and gas for 17 years and would fly back and forth. But I always lived here.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was no key moment or key event that made you think, I don't want to be in Canada anymore, and came to Phuket. It was a sort of lifelong relationship with this place. You traveled here.
Never. I just wanted to leave Canada. I've always liked traveling. We used to go to Hawaii every year when I was a kid. I always said I wanted to live somewhere nice. And when I came out here with my friend, I just decided I was going to stay. They all went back to Canada after a year. I stayed. I came back.
So for you, it was the lifestyle which attracted you here.
Yeah.
And there was no key event, nothing actually happened back home that switched you to come here. It was just something you always wanted to do.
Just wanted to travel. And we were originally going to go to Vietnam. And my buddy convinced me to come to Thailand. He was here before. And he said our money would last longer. So we came out here.
That's great. So when you first arrived here, what surprised you the most?
Culture shock for sure. Because we stayed in Bangkok a few days before when we first landed. I didn't understand the money at all. Didn't speak any Thai. The only Thai I spoke was 1 to 10 and hello. And just Bangkok, the smells, the markets, the frogs getting chopped up, all those things were, I didn't like it. And the pollution in the city was bad. But that was only a few days. And then we came out, we went to Koh Samui, and that was awesome. Stayed out there for a month. It was great.
So was there a moment early on where you thought that life here is very different from what you expect? Again, what I'm looking at is the culture shock angle. Any things that happened or any anecdotes you got about that?
I don't know if it's a negative thing to say, but I remember I twisted my knee really bad or something, and I had to go get an x-ray in Phuket town. And I remember I was sitting there, and the nurse went over and spoke to the doctor, and he just walked over and said, "Oh, you're a Fulong, it's going to be double the price." And I never experienced, I thought, well, that's racist, what's going on here? And then I realized that's the way it always, over time you realize they're not trying to be mean. They just know you have more money than the average person technically. And we did. It cost 200 baht for the x-ray. And it's 200 baht. What are you complaining about? It's an extra. So things like that were interesting. You learn to live with it. The first thing I learned to say in Thai was Mai Sai Pak Chi, because I hate cilantro and coriander.
What do you think that people most misunderstand about life in Phuket
It's not for everybody. Some people only hear the good things about it. And it is excellent if it's up your alley. The culture, the people, the traffic, the way things operate around here. It's a much slower life. Anything on an island is much slower than it is in a big city. For example, if your staff are late for work, it's probably because it's raining out, and it's acceptable here. And you can be late for work. I worked in the hotel. Staff would come in 20, 30 minutes late. It's pouring rain. They'll pull over and wait for the rain to stop. So things like that, your lifestyle is much different. It's slower. Cost-wise, it can be way less expensive than it is back home. But if you're into luxury items, like you say, if you want to go for really expensive dinners and stay in nice hotels and beach clubs, it's going to be more expensive or just as much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say it's not for everybody. I think that's been my experience recently, that I've met a couple of people, and for me it was unusual, that I hadn't gelled with the place. They couldn't get on with either the weather or the bureaucracy or the inconsistencies you find with certain aspects of life. For me, I embrace the chaos, and if it's not a problem. For some people, if they expect it to be to work like a Western country, they come on. They just it made them unhappy, and so they decided to go somewhere else.
I have a good response for that a little bit. If you'll notice here, you'll see a lot of wires hanging out, manhole covers, things you just they're dangerous, let's say. Electrical wires will be hanging. And a friend of mine came, he was from England, and he said, they should fix all this, and, and I said, so how are they going to fix it? Who's going to pay for all that? He said, well, the taxes and things. And I says, okay, great. But now you want to raise all the taxes on these people here, right? You understand? And I said, but it's going to be more expensive to do all these things, where in your country it's dangerous, but it's here. Just their parents say, don't touch it. It's dangerous. You see kids wearing dogs and everything on motorbikes here. You can walk around with a beer in your hand here. You're not hurting anybody. Just be careful and move on. So
yeah, it is quite interesting, and also sometimes it looks chaotic. You look at all the telephone wires or the fiber optic cables all on the poles, and they're all looped up, and there's wires hanging down everywhere, and it looks chaotic. But I have to tell you that it works, and the reason it's chaotic is they install a load of wires, and when there's a problem, it's more efficient for them just to cut that wire and do a new connection and leave it in there. And if there's a problem with that, then they break that one and put another one. So you have all these wires, but it actually works. Where it looks untidy, but it actually does work.
They are starting to put some of the cables underground and stuff now. I know they're doing projects, and I believe they're doing that more.
So what's been some of the biggest challenges you faced since you've been here, or any frustrations?
Well, of course, the language barrier at the beginning, and the culture is different. Like, again, it's not for everybody. People come here and they expect it to be this paradise. And it's true. People travel here to come here for 2 weeks on their vacation or honeymoons or whatever they are. And it is that. You can stay in a beautiful resort here, have dinners, really great place, right? But people expect it like that all the time when they come here on a vacation, and I'm moving here, and it's not quite like that. I don't eat out in a 5-star restaurant every day. I like a bowl of soup on the side of the road. And if you can live cheap here, if you want, I always tell people, remember, you're still in Thailand. There's all these people that work here that can't afford 40,000 baht rent. They stay in 5,000 baht rent. They pay a lot less and live a lot less. So it's doable in both directions, but you have to balance it out, what makes you happy.
But any personal frustrations or challenges?
I've had them over the years, but again, I've been here so long that I can't say anything negative anymore because I absolutely love it here. I know. Let me try to find some old ones for you. How's that? Old frustrations. Going to, okay, great one. Visa stories, okay? When I first moved here, we didn't have work permits. You're supposed to technically, but I guess we just didn't have them at the schools. They just had us work there. The hotels would say, for example, like, you have to go do your work permit. And they'd give me all my paperwork. And I'd fly to Malaysia or Singapore, and I would get there and they say, you need a different form, one more form. That's a major frustration. I have to pack my things up, Now I'm close on overstay. I got to come back in on a tourist visa again, go back to the hotel, get the more paperwork, fly back to. I had to do that many times. Or visa runs in the vans, those dangerous visa runs in the vans. I've done those a lot. Thought I was going to die many times on those. Many times I'd call the owners screaming, please tell them to slow down. It's pouring rain going 110 with 12 people in there. I've been through about a bunch of stuff here. But again, yeah, you're gonna have to pick me for some old frustrations because I don't have any now. I love it.
Well, I'm
Challenges?
I'm with you on that one, but it's not necessarily negative. It's just some things are challenging,
Yeah.
and in my opinion, it's all about approach. Some people will find it difficult and they may not want to deal with it, and some people will just say that's just the way it is and find ways around it. So, like you say, the issues with visas can be challenging, but there are ways around it. One is that either you don't go head on to the bureaucracy, you use an agent, especially with visas, to help smooth things through.
Absolutely,
But
yeah.
I hear you on the forms, because about a couple of years ago, when we started to do our work permit applications, we went up to Laos, I think, to do the application, because you've got to do it from outside the country. And of course, the forms that we'd had all prepared by our agent weren't the forms that that particular embassy wanted.
Correct.
And there was no flexibility whatsoever. And the reason is that you have to pay somebody else. Now, luckily, magically, a helper appeared.
How can I assist you today?
Yes, and how much is that going to cost? And it was okay, but rather than just tearing our hair out, we just went with the flow. And in the end of it, wasn't that expensive, and it did all get sorted out. But you have to just understand the way the systems here work, because once you've been here for a while, like I say, we used an agent for the first couple of times you use the visa, but once you understand how the system works, I'm sure it's been the same for you. The next year for application could be much easier as long as you're aware of all the pitfalls. Like, for example, you're on a retirement visa now, right? So I imagine you have a bank account.
Got two of them, yeah.
And you keep money in it. So renew your visa every year is simple, right?
Yeah, everything's. I will say everything's so much easier nowadays with technology
Yes.
than it was 10, 15 years ago. And a good example is if you're drinking in Kamala Beach back in the day, there's no taxi you're gonna get. You got to walk home, unless you're lucky and a tuk-tuk would pass you by. And nowadays, you pick up the phone. There's agents to help you with everything. We didn't have agents back then. They just didn't exist. There's no taxis. There's none of that stuff. So many times you're stranded, and the frustrations were very huge back in the day. Very frustrating. They don't understand you. We had no food delivery back then, like none of that stuff. So things have really come a long way here to take a lot of those early frustrations away that people had. Even translations, you can
Yes.
we didn't have that. You
Yeah.
just got by with what you got by with, and so did the Thais. Most Thais speak a lot of English now, and Russians and different languages. Before, no. So things have really changed over the last 25 years for sure. Yeah.
So how's living in Phuket changed your attitude to like life and work and what you perceive as success?
Well, I look at being here for so long, and I see a lot of my family and friends, especially in Canada, they are struggling like there's no tomorrow. And there's no end in sight for a lot of them in many ways. Whereas here, you can get by with very, very little here compared to Canada. Your water bills, your phone bills, $200 phone bill in Canada. Here, it's $10. Same plan, right? So there are things, again, that are more expensive here if you're buying import foods that you like from craft dinners or things you like from overseas. But you can get by super cheap if you want, have a great life, very comfortable and relaxed. So, but I see people struggling a lot financially and difficult life, whereas I'm happy here. I wake up every day with a smile on my face. I don't care if it's raining. It's nice outside. It's great people here.
So your mental well-being is
100%, 100%. Every time I go back to Canada, I find everybody so unhappy there, like really unhappy. You go to the 7-Eleven and people are just grumpy, and I'm like, what's going on? Whereas here, none of that.
okay. So what advice would you give to somebody who was thinking about making a life here or moving here?
First thing I would say is come here on a holiday and don't just stay in a nice place. Go travel around a little bit. Because some people like the rural areas as well. You know, if you go stay outside of, not Phuket's a very touristy area. I've sold timeshare and everything here. So, you know, it's probably the most expensive place in Thailand, period. This whole island, you know. But if you go on the outskirts, you can stay really beautiful houses for great prices, yeah. And have a nice lifestyle, in my opinion. You know, Bangkok's not for everybody, Phuket's not for everybody, but some of the outskirts.
So your advice, your key piece
Check
of
it
advice
out.
is come here and check it out
First.
for a reasonable length of time.
Don't just pop and say I'm coming over here and I'm moving here like I did.
And is there something that you'd wish someone had told you before you came here about living here long term?
Yeah, be careful of those lady boys. No, I'm joking. I'm teasing. When I first got here, I do have a good story for you. This is a
let's
really
hear it.
good one for people. My friend and I just arrived in Thailand. We were taking the ferry over to Samui. Okay, somehow we were on a ferry going there. This is a very true story. I'd never been here before. And we were all having a few drinks on this little ferry, nothing big. And there's a guy crying, an American guy crying. He was like 60, something like that. Very true story. I sat beside him. I'm like, why are you so upset, man? What's going on? Told me the story on the way over. He married a bar girl. No, it's a true story. He married a bar girl, went home, sent over all the money, bought a new house and everybody bought those Toyota 4x4s back in the day. He bought one of those, came back, and went to his house, and she was living there with her Thai husband. They took all the money, took the house, and took his new truck. And his mom had to send him money to fly him back so he could work again and start work again. He had retired. And that right there, that story, that was the best experience and story I ever heard. Was keep an eye out for yourself and don't trust it. And I'm not saying everybody's bad, but they are stories that happen.
Yeah, you see these memes and stories
Sure.
online about sort of bar girls and Thai girls taking advantage of, especially the more senior foreign men here.
I've seen it.
And I wasn't certain about how true that was.
Oh, it's true.
Is it?
It's very true.
But is it just for the gullible, or is it?
Well, I'm going to just say it. My neighbor with Parkinson's, he was scammed by a lot of money by one girl. And I'm not talking a little bit. I'm talking a lot. And it took a lot of us to finally get him to wake up. And that's the truth.
So what's your advice then to arm yourself against this? You know, because obviously if you fall in love with somebody or you think you're falling in love with them, then sense goes out the window. So what would you suggest to somebody?
It's difficult because you're dealing with a lot of people, and I'm just being realistic here. A lot of men, they're retired, they're overweight, they're bald, and they've never had a nice little hot 20-year-old girlfriend in their lives. Or maybe they did when they were 18, I don't know. And a lot of them are either divorced, and I'm not trying to be mean, but their wives are overweight and ugly. They come over here, they find a beautiful young girl that gives them full of attention, and they've never experienced that before. Number one, it makes you feel younger, makes you feel alive. They don't care if it costs them a little bit of money, but in the end, it costs you a lot more than that. And I'm not saying they're all like that. There's some amazing stories I can tell you on the other side, where a guy met a girl in the bar, she just started working there, and they got married, and they're happy ever after. So it goes both ways.
That's what I was looking for.
Yes.
Looking for the balance.
There is a balance, but you have to keep the old expression is in Thailand, you can take the girl out of the bar, but you can't take the bar out of the girl. I'm sure everybody's heard it a million times. You know, a lot of the girls say, oh, I just worked here 1 month. I just came. It's a lie.
Yeah.
Most of it's a lie all the time, but most of it's a lie. And I just say, keep an eye out. You know, it's nice to have a nice girlfriend,
but it's also true that that's certain parts of the island or certain parts of Bangkok. The rest of Phuket, it's not full of bars and bar girls. It's
no, not at all.
So it's really only just like Pattaya and a couple of places.
You're gonna get bar girls in all little bars, but I mean, they're not all like that. I mean, there's some amazing women that work at 7-Elevens. They work at street carts, the hospitals, eyeglass shops, McDonald's, Swenson's, you know. I know, because I was young running around here at one
Yeah.
point.
So happiness is achievable. We just have to be careful.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, people have to realize, like, if that's the most beautiful girl you've ever seen in your life and she's dating you, there's something up, man. Like, it's okay to date her and hang out, but just be careful is all I'm saying.
I think
Let's be
that's good
realistic
advice.
here.
That's good advice. Is there a question that I haven't asked? Is there something that people should know? Or
Sure. If you are planning to come out here, there's racism out here, and it's okay. I'm gonna say it. There's no real laws out here for that, flat out. So if you'll see. I'm not gonna say any cultures or names, but you will see Thais have signs on some of their saying you're not allowed in my store here in Thailand from either a culture or whatever it might be, and it's acceptable here. So if you're planning to come here and cause a stink about it, it's not going to work, because some of them just had enough of a certain culture, whatever it might be, and it might be only that one person. So I'm not saying whatever. I'm just saying there is a little bit of that around here, and Thais are very open to saying, I don't like you. You've caused a lot of problems here, and that's it. And they're pretty open about it around here. So
yeah, it's interesting because every time I have one of these conversations, one of the sort of things that comes up almost all the time is respect. And that goes both ways. And the issue you've just mentioned is based on lack of respect by certain
100%.
parties. Was that accurate?
Yeah. There's certain groups of tourists, and I can say from all countries, and just unfortunately, a lot of them are not actually from those countries that come over. They're all mixes and whatever, and they're causing problems. And you see more and more on web channels here, tourists behaving badly.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing right now, and the Thais don't like it.
Yeah, you think there's a bit of a backlash building at the moment, do you?
Yeah, they're clamping down. Like listen, I ran around here, and I did a lot of running around, a lot of bad things, for sure. But they didn't have the cameras back then, and unfortunately, I got away with a lot of stuff that not illegal, but I did a lot of crazy stuff.
Well, that was just partying. I don't think that generally causes any problems. I think that the problem comes when you're disrespectful. No one minds if you're happy, drunk, and falling around. What they don't mind is if you are grabbing people or touching them inappropriately. Like, don't touch a Thai on the head. Certainly don't put your feet on the table. That sort of
I've made all those mistakes. Yeah, when I taught English, I had my books in my hand, and I shut the door with my foot, like just to close the door, and they all lost their minds. I didn't know what was going on. The foot thing, you can't put your feet up in front of Thais. It's very disrespectful. It's okay to touch Thais on the head as long as it's a child.
Yes.
If it's a kid, because I used to teach English, they don't, no problem. They walk by and stuff. But yeah, you don't want to go up to some adult and grab their head. No. That's not, you'll probably get punched in the face for something like that. Thais, the respect thing is very huge here, and I'm all for it.
Yeah,
they deserve it. It's their place. You have to respect it as much as possible. I've argued and fought with taxi drivers and done all those things that everybody does at one point here. But that's just living. That's just having a bad day, or they're having a bad day. That's life. Everybody's going to argue once in a while. But respect's very big here. Thais don't like losing face.
Yes.
A funny story, when I worked in the hotels, if you want to work here, I remember I was given a task by the GM, and I had to pass it on to another staff member to get the job done, computer stuff. And in Canada, I would say, can you have that done by 4 or something, and come back at 3:30 and grab it or whatever, right? Well, I didn't know I had to keep going and reminding her to get it done every hour to make sure it was going to be done on time, because it wasn't going to be done till tomorrow. So little things like that the culture shock's different in many ways, and once you accept it and you are happy with it, you'll really enjoy yourself here.
So in that example you just gave, how do you get what you want, or do you just have to accept that you won't get it?
A lot of times you have to accept you won't get it.
Okay.
Just, if you need something done here, in my opinion, there's like a lot of them are very Western trained now. And it's excellent, especially in real estate and stuff. But you just got to keep checking on them. Is everything okay? Can because Thais are I find them very emotional as well. I used to say working in the hotel was like being in grade 9 with all the gossip and things that went on and stuff. But I think it's kind of the same everywhere in the world, I guess. You know, you're going to get all types of characters and things that happen with the hotels and whatever you want to do here. There's always something funny happening, in my opinion.
So, I mean, are you happy if we covered all the topics? Is there anything you want to say before I wrap this up?
No, I guess I hope I did a good job for you. I don't know if you were
No, it's
happy with that.
fantastic. No,
I
no.
don't know.
The reason I ask that question always is I would hate to think that, you know, we wrap this up and you're on the way home and thinking,
Oh, you mean an extra story or something?
no, just something that you think you want to not necessarily get off your chest, but that's a great thing, or that's the thing I was hoping to talk about. Now's the opportunity to say it before I wrap the interview up.
Okay, I don't think so. I would say I love the food here and the people, and I've been here a long time. And there was a point when I hated it here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. I was just furious and upset. I hated everybody.
Was that a personal issue, or was that?
It was me, yeah. I thought a good example. Okay, my last example, which people, when you go to a restaurant here and you order food, right? And I hate cilantro, okay? True story. And I ordered it in English and in Thai. Don't put it on my food, please. Some girl came back. This is a true story, a terrible one. I'll tell you about it. And there was cilantro just as decoration on top. I was so mad. I threw it at her. I was so upset. There's no need for that. I was completely in the wrong. And I was so mad. I'm like, if I was in Canada to get my order right. The fact is, I was wrong. I went back to Canada every time I'd go back, and I'm speaking the same language to these people. And they would make more mistakes on my orders than they ever did in Thailand. So I knew right then that it wasn't the language barrier. It was just the way people care about you and stuff. In Thailand, the staff are great and people care about you. If they make a mistake, they're sorry. They don't mean to most of the time, you know, and don't yell at them like I did. Always be polite. Don't make a Thai lose face. Always be polite if you can. If possible, sometimes people get a little drunk and belligerent, but do your best.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for coming in back.
No worries. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, everybody.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and do like and subscribe to the channel. It will help us grow.